Yo, what is up, everybody? Back with another video. So today, I'm ranking the top 10 best running backs in the NFL. So, my list contains of many great running backs. Many people you might disagree or agree with. It doesn't really matter to me. The ranking you might disagree with, but the players themselves, I think, are pretty good, and I think they deserve the top 10. One thing that I do know is that many running backs are like physically more talented. They're more athletic in certain ways. They have better abilities. But, some of these running backs on this list have just proved it to me. They deserve to be on this list. And they definitely, they've outshone the other players in the past. And in 2019, I'm basically going off of that. So, you wouldn't really see any literal rookies on this list, or I would guess you could say second year running backs, because I don't really believe in that. But you already know, if Saquon Barkley was a rookie, I definitely have him on this list. I'm not even joking. And he did have a really good rookie season, so you might see him on this list, you might not. Let's see. So, at number 10 best running back in the NFL. Might be a little up to opinion, but I actually have Joe Mixon. So Joe Mixon from the Bengals has had a pretty good career so far. His rookie season wasn't the best out of his entire career, but we saw that Joe Mixon played 16 games last season, 14 games the season before that, having 1,100 yards both seasons. We saw that his second season as a player, he had 8 rushing touchdowns, and in 2019, I think he slowed down, but that was definitely because the Bengals, the team itself, was just so bad. There was no offense there. So Joe Mixon is definitely a really talented running back. If you watch him play, you'll see him make really crafty moves, get into the end zone in very, very, I guess you can say, peculiar ways. So Joe Mixon is a great running back. I think he deserves number 10 on this list. Another really great aspect of Joe Mixon is that he does get receptions and targets as a wide receiver. So that's a really good aspect of a running back, to get receptions, because it gives the defense trouble. It makes it, more hard for the defense to counter a running back that's also like a wide receiver. So it does really help their offense, and Joe Mixon is definitely number 10 on this list. So, number 9 on this list. This might be a little controversial, and please, no hate for this pick, but I actually do have Kareem Hunt. So, as you may know, Kareem Hunt had a little incident. I believe that he kicked somebody, his girlfriend, and he got caught, and he did get suspended, dropped by the Kansas City Chiefs, and now he's on the Cleveland Browns. But besides the fact that Kareem Hunt has basically lost all value in the NFL, he is a very good running back, and he is currently a player for Cleveland. I guess you can say if none of those incidents off the field happened with Kareem Hunt, I definitely have him in my top 3 on this list. I think Kareem Hunt, at the time in his prime, his rookie season, I thought he was literally one of the best running backs in the league. No joke right there. So as you may know, Kareem Hunt, he was a monster his rookie season. He had 1,300 yards as a rookie, 8 rushing touchdowns, and 53 receptions for 455 yards. This dude was a monster. There was a really good reason for why the Kansas City Chiefs have been explosive. And without him, we see the Chiefs, they're really good without him. But at the same time, he was just such a good running back for the team. So why isn't he top 3? Because of that incident he had. I'm not saying the incident lost value. I'm just saying, as a player, nobody likes him. And Cleveland, they don't really utilize him as much, because, Nick Chubb's on that team. So to me, Kareem Hunt does not have too much value in the NFL, because he does have to share snaps with Nick Chubb, obviously another really good running back. So that does devalue him, which is why I have him at number 9 on this list. Definitely, I would have Kareem Hunt top 3, like I said before. We saw in 2018 that Mahomes' prime season, where they went 12-4. Kareem Hunt had 7 rushing touchdowns, only in 11 games played, and he had 8 in 16 games the prior season. He also had 7 receiving touchdowns last season in 2018. So we did see 14 touchdowns in 11 games from Kareem Hunt. He was an absolute monster. But it's just a shame that those off-the-field incidents happened, and that's why he's number 9 on this list. Still a really, really talented running back. So, at number 7 on this list, staying with the Cleveland Browns, I actually have Nick Chubb in the top 10 running backs. So, at number 8, Nick Chubb. And why? It's because this dude is a rushing monster. We saw last season, his sophomore season as a running back in the league, he absolutely popped off. He was top 3 in the league in rushing yards. He had almost 1,500. He was really, really close. 6 yards off of 1,500 yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. And we did see that this dude just carried the ball so long per attempt. He had an 88-yard rushing touchdown. This dude was unstoppable for the Browns. Nick Chubb also is, I guess you can say, a decent wide receiver as a running back with 36 receptions, 278 receiving yards. He's not really helpful in the red zone, as a matter of fact, as a receiver, but still, 8 rushing touchdowns, almost 1,500 yards. This dude is definitely top 10, and I think he could climb the ranks in the future. So at number 7 on my list, I have a running back. Some of you might disagree with this, but at the same time, I still believe this player is a very talented running back, and I thought at one time he was the best in the NFL. And his name is LeVeon Bell. So many of you may know him as the star Pittsburgh Steelers running back, but being greedy for money, he missed the entire season for a contract dispute, and he signed with the Jets for less money that the Pittsburgh Steelers offered him. Not throwing shade at him, I just think LeVeon Bell just has no common sense. Ever since that, LeVeon Bell has played for the New York Jets. He's only played one season for the Jets, but we did see that he had a decline in performance last year, and that's why I have him later on my list at number 7. But you look at LeVeon Bell's past with the Steelers, this dude was a monster. Receiving touchdowns, receiving yards, receptions, rushing yards, it's all great right there. So we did see he had 1,300 yards in his 2014 season, and in 2017 when the Steelers were 13-3, he was barely close. He was 9 yards off from 1,300 rushing yards with 9 rushing touchdowns, and LeVeon Bell was an absolute monster that season. And as you can see, he made the first All-Pro team in 2017 and 2014, and the Pro Bowl in 2014, 2016, and 2017. One of the key things that made LeVeon Bell such a special player was his ability to be a wide receiver. So we did see in 2017, this LeVeon Bell actually had 85 receptions, 655 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So you're telling me that's not good? That's actually amazing. But we did see, as the New York Jets, the rushing yards decreased 789, and the receptions were still really good with 66 and 461 receiving yards. But the most special thing about LeVeon Bell, and personally I've seen this in so many games, is his ability in pocket awareness. It's just incredible. He has incredible patience. You see this dude rushing the ball, he just stands there and he waits and he waits. It's like he's reading a book or something. Like he waits for a pocket to open. As soon as it's open, boom. He zooms in and he gets so many rushing yards. It's incredible. LeVeon Bell is definitely a top player on this list. And I have him at number 7 because he did leave to the New York Jets where he did not have a good season. So controversially, at number 6, I have a player that I think LeVeon Bell is better than, but at the same time, Dalvin Cook at number 6 has been performing better recently. So Dalvin Cook, running back for the Minnesota Vikings, I have him at number 6 on my list. I think this dude had an amazing season last year, and he was definitely a top running back in the NFL. Making a Pro Bowl, he had 1,135 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns, which made this dude an incredible player for the Vikings last season, virtually carrying their team in many aspects of the game. Also, Dalvin Cook had 53 receptions and 519 receiving yards. That's better than most wide receivers. That's pretty good numbers right there. So Dalvin Cook, this dude was a monster, a touchdown monster. If you had this dude in fantasy football, man, you were lucky last season. he definitely climbed the ranks, and I have him at number 6 on my list for top 10 running backs in the league. So at number 5 on my list, I have a running back for the New Orleans Saints, Alvin Kamara. So Alvin Kamara has played 3 seasons in the NFL, and he's made 3 Pro Bowls. So that's a pretty good stat just right there. And Alvin Kamara, his rushing yards don't seem appealing to most viewers, but the touchdowns do. We see that in 2018, when Kamara was in, I guess you can say his prime so far, he had only 883 rushing yards, but I guess you can say he split rushing attempts with Ingram, and he had 14 touchdowns. So look at that stat right there. That is an amazing stat for a running back. 14 touchdowns is really, really good. And at the same time, you look at his receptions, he's actually had 81 receptions every season that he's played, and that's kind of weird. But the receiving yards are actually better than his rushing yards in 2017, and they were really good stats right there. So overall, Kamara is a really good player, a really good running back. He's versatile as a wide receiver and a touchdown monster. I guess you can say that without Ingram last season, we did see some slowdown. Drew Brees was injured in a couple of games, so if Kamara does not perform like he has in the 2018 season, I think he's going to lose value as a top 10 running back in the NFL. So number 4 on my list, I have a running back that I do not like personally, but I guess you can say I'm giving him props to be number 4 in the league. And his name, of course, is Ezekiel Elliott. So no one likes the Cowboys unless there's something wrong with you. But there's no doubt about it, Ezekiel Elliott is definitely the most talented player on that team, and he's a very, very talented running back. So his rookie season, he actually made the Pro Bowl and the first All-Team Pro, and he had 322 rushing attempts and 1,600 rushing yards. Like, wow. 1,600 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns as a rookie. And at the same time, I guess you can say the receptions that season weren't the best. But as you continue to see, in 2017, I believe he was suspended. He almost had 1,000 rushing yards with 10 games played. And the following season, 2018, he had 304 rushing attempts and 1,434 rushing yards. So this dude has had a really good career so far, and there's no doubting that. As you can see, as the years continue, the receptions get higher and higher. Except for 2019, where we did see Ezekiel Elliott digress as a player, which is actually why I have him at number 4, not higher, because last season they had the team and he wasn't playing as good as he has in the past. But I'm not saying that's bad. 1,357 rushing yards is really good and 12 touchdowns. So I'm not saying that he had a bad season in 2019. I'm just saying it's not as good as it has been. I think the players above him are actually better than him. So Ezekiel Elliott at number 4, he's definitely had a great career so far. So my number 1 and 2 in this list, I 100% guarantee that they're better than Ezekiel Elliott. But at number 3 on this list, I think Ezekiel Elliott and of course Saquon Barkley are virtually tied on this list. But I think Saquon is the better running back. On a horrible team, Saquon Barkley puts up the numbers. Saquon Barkley is maybe one of the most talented running backs in the NFL. He's a strong dude. He's really, really athletic, and he has just amazing. I've seen this dude play at Penn State because, I'm going to Penn State, so I would know. I watched every Penn State game this dude played in. I'm like, this dude has to be the first pick in the NFL draft. He was second behind, the horrible Baker Mayfield. But Saquon Barkley is just a playmaker. He has a crazy mind up there. He makes the craziest plays, and he makes defenders miss him. He's just such a strong player, such a great running back. So I'm not a Giants fan, but I can say that Saquon is a beast. Personally, like I said, Penn State fan right here, so I would know. But let's look at these stats. So obviously, Saquon Barkley had a really good rookie season with, of course, starting every game, 261 rushing attempts and 1,300 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns. So that's pretty good for a Giants team that was really bad that season with Eli Manning as their starter. And what made this dude such a great player in that season, his rookie season, he actually had 91 receptions and 721 receiving yards. So this dude, really good career so far. His second season with Daniel Jones and debatably the worst team in the NFC, maybe not the NFL, but the NFC, the Giants, of course, they were horrible, and Saquon still put up good numbers. He started 13 games because he was injured, 3 of them. He still had 1,000 rushing yards, and he had 6 touchdowns and 52 receptions. So I guess you can say the stats diminished because of the injury, and Daniel Jones isn't as talented as Eli Manning was. So Saquon, definitely one of the most skillful, talented players in the league, and I have him at number 3 on my list. So number 2 on my list, debatably number 1, I have Christian McCaffrey, number 99, of course. He had 99 overall in Madden. This dude is a monster. I've never seen a player carry a team so hard in my life. This dude debatably should have won the NFL MVP last season. So we look at Christian McCaffrey. He's played in every game as a Carolina Panther that he could have played in. His rookie season wasn't the best, but in 2018 he started lighting up. He had 1,000 rushing yards, 7 touchdowns, but that doesn't matter because 2019 this dude was just a monster. So he made the Pro Bowl and first All-Pro team with almost 1,400 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns, 1,000 receiving yards, and 116 receptions with a player that's basically a wide receiver that's unstoppable. This dude is such a good player. Christian McCaffrey, he's really skillful, he's really fast, really strong, really talented as a player. He makes good moves. He's like a human joystick sometimes. And the best part about this dude is that he's basically a better wide receiver than I bet like 95% of the receivers in the NFL, he's better than them. Of course, near the line of scrimmage, of course. Like 1,000 receiving yards as a running back and 1,300 rushing yards. Like, that is incredible. This dude's debatably the best running back in the NFL, but I think there's one better. So before I get into my number 1, I'm just going to read out some honorable mentions, including Kenyon Drake from the Arizona Cardinals, Melvin Gordon, who was lights out in 2018 but diminished because he didn't want to sign a contract. I guess you can say James Conner, not really. And one of the biggest ones I left out was Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley was definitely a top 3 running back in the league, but his injury has basically ruined his career, in my opinion. Another honorable mention that's not in my top 10 is Derrick Henry. If I was stupid, of course. So obviously Derrick Henry is number 1 on my list as the best running back in the NFL. You look at Derrick Henry, you're like, what the frick? So, like, this dude, I'm not a Titans fan, but this dude was lights out at the end of the 2019 NFL season. He led the league in rushing yards with 1,540 rushing yards and 16 rushing touchdowns. He also, I wouldn't say he's the best receiver as running back. 18 receptions, 206 receiving yards. It's not the best, but the rushing attempts, the rushing yards, the rushing touchdowns, this dude is a monster. Not only does this dude basically carry the offense, he makes the longest runs you'll ever see in your life. Like against the Jaguars, this dude's unstoppable. You cannot take Derrick Henry down. He's a huge running back, and he's not stoppable. He was a Heisman Trophy winner, and as a Heisman Trophy winner, I expected to be good. And his rookie season wasn't the best. His second season wasn't the best. But his third season, you saw him, start to light up as a running back. But his fourth season, look at those stats. Oh my gosh. So Derrick Henry, definitely, in my opinion, is the best running back in the NFL. If you watch any of the Titans games at the end of the season or in the playoffs, Derrick Henry basically carried this team to every victory. And if Derrick Henry is not playing well, the team lost. And we did see this against the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. So when you have a running back that basically gives you wins, that's how you know he's the best player in the NFL as a running back, of course. That's why Derrick Henry and Christian McCaffrey, are my top two because they basically carry their team offensively. And Christian McCaffrey debatably does more of a better job of carrying the team overall. The Titans do have some talent like A.J. Brown and Ryan Tannehill, but at the same time, Derrick Henry is just an absolute monster of a player. So, that is it. I hope you enjoyed the long video, but I thought it was pretty fun to make this list. Comment down below your top 10. I'd like to read it, and that's it. So, thanks for watching. Adios.